Hi folks, this is Rose from Engrose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a necklace using parts from my March Bargain Bead Box. Now I have added a few things from my stash, but I will let you know what those are as we go along. Anyway, I hope you enjoy making this with me, and we'll turn down and get started. Okay, I have this big pile of things from my bead box here. I'm going to use these toggle ends as connectors as opposed to toggle ends. And then we're going to put all these beads in. And, well, I originally had it set a little different in my mind, but I decided to change that. What we're going to do is we're going to put these like this with the drum beads and a couple of more drum beads, and then this one here. And then, of course, we're going to come down the same on the other side, as I tend to be quite symmetrical. If you don't like to do symmetry, you don't have to. You could change up these beads however you want to. They're your beads. So then we'll put this guy in here. And my original plan was to put another one of these beads in here and just have it go like this. But then I decided, oh no, it needs something a little bigger. So I went through my stash and I found this big, beautiful India glass bead. So it's going to sit here in the middle, like so. And then we have some copper spacers and some little copper balls, as well as, come here you, a magnetic clasp. These are very, very strong. Even though they're small, they're very strong. And some small oval jump rings to hook the the chain from the box. The oval jump rings are to hook the chain onto the rings, on the end of the rings here, and as well as to hook them onto our clasp. So we also have two little 2x2 crimp tubes for hooking this together. And I also need to choose my wire. I will probably, I think, use some turquoise soft flex. What I have on this spool of turquoise soft flex, there's not much left, but it's probably enough to do the beads part of this necklace. So let's get that off and get started. So as you can see, I only need about so much. So this is probably about the perfect amount. So we'll set that empty spool aside, and I will probably, I'm gathering those up. I'm going to send them back to be recycled by Softflex. And so we're going to put our crimp tube on. This one has a little spot on it. I think I might get one of the other toggles out. I don't want that rubbing on my bead strand. Okay, we've got a new one here. Now this is what these toggles look like. They'll slide in like this if you've never used a toggle, and then they hold like here. But in my opinion, these types need some weight behind them to keep them from coming unclasped, so I don't use them very often. I like a one with a curved bar. That way it sort of hugs around this. So anyway, like I said, I tend to use these as connectors. They work great as a connector. So we'll just hook this side up and crimp it in place here. Come on, baby, on you go. Now you want to leave yourself enough room that this will move around here on this end. So now that we've got that in, I use the magical crimpers. I have a little divot here. You can see that there. Put that in the middle of the divot and squish down, and then turn and squish again, and keep turning and squishing until it doesn't squish down anymore, until when you put your pliers around and squish, it's just going straight down. Then do a tug test. And that looks like that worked just great. So now we're going to string our beads. Whoop, come on, baby, behave. So, I think I'm going to put one of these on first. Because this bead is flat on this one end, I think I like the spacer here to see there, like that. So then we want another one of these, and then one of the drum beads. And now I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm going to put one of these little round ones in here between the two drum beads. So it looks like so. Now we're back to this type. This guy. Here again. Drum bead. Round one. Drum bead again. These two seem to be stuck together. We don't want that. Ooh, don't drop your big pretty porcelain bead. And it goes. This one again. Our edged bead. Fingernails are almost getting too long. We may have to cut them again pretty soon. Get yourself out of the way. And now we want this big pretty looks like I'm going to have just enough of these copper spacers. And there we have our base part of our necklace. Now I just need to hook it over here onto this other side. So to do that, we just want to put our crimp bead on. Or tube, I should say, because this is a tube. Our connector through here. Pull our wire through. And as you can see, I actually didn't need as much wire as I even had left. So that's good. Through here. Now we want to compare and make sure we got this about the same amount of wire on either side. As you can see, we're pretty close right there. And we want to, when we bend it, we want it to be bent as I have it now. We don't want to go straight across, because if we do, we will discover that we have gotten it too tight and it will be really stiff on us. So we need to get this crimp bead right in the middle of this. Crimp, twist, 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 and now pull. Now see, I got a bigger gap than I had actually planned on having there, but I think it's going to be all right anyway because we have a nice bend there. Now if the gap is too big for your taste, you can always take and put a crimp cover on. I'm going to cut this extra piece of wire here now. We'll put that aside for some other time. And there we have our necklace bottom all finished. So the next thing we need to do is to decide how long we want it to be, and then hook some chain onto our connector pieces here. I'm thinking we want this to be about 24 inches. So I've pulled out my tape measure and we're going to measure this bead strand. And it is about 10 inches. Not quite, but really close to 10 inches. So we will need another 14 inches of chain. So we'll get our chain out. And since we are of course needing 2 pieces, we're going to take our 14 and make it 7. So here's about our 7. So we'll see if this will separate or if I need to cut it. And it looks like it'll separate, so we'll just have to take it off and measure our next piece. Now sometimes I find it easier to measure by taking my awl, putting the one piece of chain that I've already cut on it, take the other piece that you're going to need to cut and bring it down like this, and it's more likely to get you where you actually want to be than measuring. This is the one we want to remove. So open that up, take the link off, and then we have our 2 pieces of 7-inch pieces, and we can put the rest of the chain away. So now we'll want to hook the chain onto the connectors on both sides, and then we will want to put the magnetic clasp on. So let's get these down here, and we will open one of our jump rings. Now because this will open the chain, you could just hook it right onto the with the chain and just open a link to do it, but I prefer to use my jump rings. Sometimes you weaken the link once you open it up, so of course that's true of jump rings if you open them too many times as well. So there's that side hooked on. Now we'll get this side hooked on. Simply go through the ring, top of the ring, the toggles ring, that, and then we put the chain on. See there? Okay. And now we have the chain connected to both sides. We just have to put on our clasp and our necklace will be done. So let's get our clasp out. It's right here. And we will just simply put the magnetic clasp on. So in order to do that, you just grab another jump ring and open it up. You know, since this is going to be at the back, instead of using the little jump rings, I am going to use some bigger jump rings because, let's face it, the bigger jump rings are stronger. And since this is a very strong clasp, I would rather have a bigger one in place. So we'll put these aside and we'll just use a bigger one. Now there's some types of chain that are too small to use a bigger jump ring with, like say Jesse James Beads Chain Reaction. Their links are all got very tiny little holes in their chain, so you need a tinier ring to grab that with. As you can see, that little magnet is pretty strong. It's already trying to gather up all of the chain to it. And there we go. Our necklace is done. That didn't feel like it came all the way together. So if that happens, just wiggle them back and forth with very light pressure going to the front towards where you want it to close, and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle till you hear that telltale scrape and snap that says it came into place. And there we are. Our necklace is finished. It also feels like it's trying to knot up here on the chain. Okay. So anyway, there you go. I think that hunk of India glass that I found really is much better in that spot than the one I was originally planning on putting in there. It was too small before, but I like it as it is. So there we go, one finished necklace. So let's turn up and we'll talk a little more. Okay, we have finished our necklace using our March Bargain Bead Box. Isn't that pretty? I'll just pull it apart and it can go on. Sits. Let's see if we can. Sits down just a little bit here. See the rings, see all the pretty beads. I like it. I hope you've liked this tutorial for making a simple beaded necklace with chain using toggle rings as our connection pieces. And I think it turned out really nice. I hope you do too. And I hope you have fun making something like this. Like I said, simple beaded necklace. Very easy, very nice, but very pretty. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you next time.